Welcome, David. Welcome everyone watching this now and those watching it later on YouTube and via the website. Welcome to our third Hearthside Chat for the Connection Camp this year. And I'm very happy to be chatting with David Smartknight, who's going to be our village building guild lead. And he's also on the core team with me and Vicky Mew, organising the whole camp. So welcome, David.
Thank you very much.
And as ever, let's start with some gratitude. What's filling us up with gratitude today? You want to go first?
Yeah, how long have you got? I mean,
Half an hour, but we need to do other stuff as well.
All right. Well, we could take half an hour with the gratitude. No, I mean, seriously, I probably could spend half an hour on the gratitude because I've just come out of a camp. That was just so rich. So some highlights to give thanks for. I'm really giving thanks for the Sacred Fire teachings and practices finding some rooting in this country. So so I have to say that for those who may not know, this is following an Adawa Madewin tradition, which is so coming from the Great Lakes region of Canada, and actually I first came across at an Art of Mentoring, but I've been able to delve into that quite deeply through various serendipitous and synchronous and beautiful coincidences. And so really giving thanks for those teachings, for the people who carried them, for the people who brought it. And actually, we can take that back to the peacemaker 1,000 years ago or so. But also just the people who are stepping up now and going, yes, I really want to bring this cultural repair piece to these lands. I was like, oh, so exciting. And I guess one thing to add to all of that. So we're doing this camp. I live in West Cornwall. I love it in West Cornwall, on this land that I'm rewilding, and so we're holding the camp, and at some very significant moments, 2 kites came over, and I've lived down here for 30 years. It's only in the last 5 years I've seen kites, and they're very. There's a seasonality to it. They show up in the spring and then they don't show up again. So there are a few days in the spring when you might see them. And I've never seen any above this land in Sancrene before. And 2 are really low down, just at significant moments, just coming floating in. It just felt like such a blessing from the heavens going, we approve. But at least that's how I chose to interpret it. So yeah, giving thanks for that. All of that. Yeah, thank you.
Well, that warms my heart because I really connected with the kites at the Connection Camp last year. Well, flying around so much over the Clophill Centre. Yeah, thank you for holding that quest down in West Cornwall. My gratitude. I mean, there's lambs running around in the field in front of me, which is quite delightful. That's a very kind of close to the surface gratitude today, watching them and their vitality. Lamb o'clock, we call it, when they run around in the early evening, and chase each other and jump on top of each other in a very hijinks kind of way. And also, I spent some of this morning walking around Exeter, having dropped my partner off very early to get on a coach. And I noticed how many people there were sleeping in cardboard boxes in the city. And I'm just really grateful for my home and my delightful life here on this bit of land and having, a safe, warm, dry place to sleep every night. Yeah. And I wish them well as we head into another night pretty soon. So... yeah, having brought our hearts and minds together, and maybe those watching the video can think of something they're grateful for now to bring them into that place of appreciation and connection. That it's where it brings me oftentimes. Yeah, I'd love to start our chat together, David. And we worked out just before this call started that we met when I hosted and you hosted an event for John Young at Embercombe in 2016, I think. It was around the time we were getting the Art of Mention together in
Yeah,
Devon
yeah.
the following year, I think, or
I think
later in the year.
I actually think it might have been just before that I met you at Maniton.
Yeah,
There
that was
was
a
a
regional gathering.
there was a regional gathering,
Okay.
and I think that's where I met you because I'd just come back from California. I'd spent 3 weeks there in this
Hmm.
extraordinarily blessed moment, um, in which synchronistically I'd met John. Um, but I'd come back and he had been telling me about the renewal of Creative Path, and you were running a renewal of Creative Path in at Maniton. Actually, I think that's when I first met you.
Oh, okay. So that must have been in kind of the middle of winter sometime
Yes, it was. It
on
was then.
Dartmoor
Yeah.
in the village hall in Maniton where we did a,
Mm,
yeah, I think we had regional gatherings of people that were interested in eight shields at that time here in the
mm,
southwest of England, and that would have been one of them.
mm.
Okay, my memory is quite terrible, so it's kind of an investigation to try and remember where I met people and what their names are and what we did.
Yeah,
So it's nice to
I,
piece together the stories.
I recognise that one.
Yeah, I blame it on too much event organising, filling my head with so much
Mm,
information and ideas. Yeah, so we spent some time together at Embercombe, which is
yeah.
kind of what is it? I mean, you used to work there. Well, how would you describe Embercombe? It's kind of a spiritual retreat centre, but very grounded and landed as well.
Yeah.
What would you say?
And yeah, it's a so Mac who set it up, his vision is to create a garden to grow people.
Mm,
And I think that if I was to say it in a phrase, I think that's actually quite good. Um, yeah, and so I was volunteering there at the time, and um, John was coming to Schumacher, to doing something at Schumacher in Dartington,
yeah.
and I had met him the previous like 6 months earlier in California, and was able to go. So Mac, I think you should go. Well, I'm already going. Great. Try to meet with John, and I'm going to tell John to look out for you. So I think I may have helped to bring those two together.
Yeah.
Um,
Mac being the founder of Embercombe, and
yes,
John being
yeah,
the founder of the Eight Shields, for those who don't
yeah.
know.
Sorry, yes, I forgot that there might be other people listening.
Yeah.
um, yeah, and yeah, I don't know if it's worth going into the story of how I met John because it's quite an extraordinary story in many ways. Um,
Yeah. Go for it.
so it starts with going to the art of mentoring in Falkland. I can never remember, is that right? Falkland in Fife in Scotland in 2013, 2012,
There's
2012, I
one
think.
in 2013 and one in 2014.
Okay, so 2013. And it was there were so many things there that were just like, oh my goodness. There was a men's circle that utterly has changed my life. In that's now something that I have um, that, that there's a part of my life. And there were some questions in that men's circle that were fundamentally transformative.
Hmm.
Um, there was a sacred fire. The first time I came across sacred fire. There's this whole kind of nature culture thing was like, oh my god, this is what's been missing. This
Hmm.
is what's missing. So so I was aware of Eight Shield um, through that, but it wasn't like I was aware of anyone else in Cornwall where I lived doing it. And at the time, I was also really quite deeply involved with the Pachamama Alliance, who um, hold a vision for changing the paradigm on the planet, changing the dream of the Western world. Um, there's a much longer story, and that's not what we're here to talk about. But I had volunteered. I had done a vision quest the previous summer, and that Vision Quest had told me I needed to go and volunteer with the Pachamama Alliance. Like, okay, well, I will do that then. And I'm on my way out there, kind of thinking about what they bring. And so the reason I was the Pachamama Alliance to me was at the cutting edge of what was needed to happen on the planet, as was the Eight Shields movement. And I'm flying out there, and I'm going, John Young, I believe, lives in California. I wonder if these guys know each other, because they're holding two sides of the same coin, as far as I can see. And so I probably need to say that way back in the 1980s, I worked with Lynn Twist, who was one of the founders of the Pachamama Alliance. So I had a bit of a relationship with her. And so I'm talking to her when I get there. And I'm going, so you guys, are you doing any work with Eight Shields? Because you really should do it. She goes, who? What? Well, Eight Shields is based here in California. So I've never heard of it. So,
Wow.
that's bizarre. I live in the outer reaches of some remote bit of Britain, and you're both, as far as I can see, they're right there on the cutting edge of what needs to happen. You guys need to be in touch. And it so happened that a friend of mine who I spent a little bit of time with out there, had been going to the Pioneers Conference every year, collecting relationships with people. She started Transition America. And so she was collecting these relationships with people. I was talking with her. I say, yeah, these two should go. She said, oh, I think I've got John Young's email somewhere. So she kind of rummaged through and went, yeah, here you go. And I sent John this email going, look, I am this random person you've never heard of, and just bear with me, because there's something here that I think is really potent for what you're bringing into the world, and I think it's a collaboration here. Never expected anything to happen from it. You know what it's like. I mean, I know what I'm like with emails. It's like hundreds of them come in every day. It's like delete, 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 delete. That was fully what I was expecting. So I spent 3 weeks in California, and one of the things I promised myself was I would spend some time with redwood trees, because hey, when else am I going to get that opportunity? And the only place I'd go to do that without having to hire a car was to stay in the youth hostel in Santa Cruz. So I've gone to it's my last day in California. I've gone to hang out with. So I'm staying at the youth hostel, and they kick you out at 10 o'clock in the morning and allow back at 6 o'clock in the evening, but you've got to take all your stuff with you. So I'm wandering around these redwood trees. I've walked so far this day. I'm wandering around redwood trees, just giving thanks for the extraordinary things that have happened whilst I'm out there. And one of them being I've stopped smoking, which is another long story, which I'm not going to go into. But I'm walking back, it's getting dark, and I'm walking back to the youth hostel, and there's a cigarette on the ground, a complete cigarette. And I'm like, two thoughts. It's a bit like, and it's like the demon on one side going, don't touch it. And the angel going, you haven't given thanks with tobacco. And it's like this kind of internal battle going on. And I walked an entire city block before giving in, turning around and picking it up, and then turning around again and going back to the youth hostel, taking this backpack off. Oh, what a relief. And then giving thanks with this tobacco for everything that's happened whilst I was in California. Putting this down at the root of this young redwood tree in the yard in the youth hostel. And I go to pick up my backpack, and my phone goes off. I go, okay. Hi, it's John Young. Where are you? I see you're trying to get hold of me. Where are you? Well, I'm in the youth hostel in Santa Cruz. He goes, oh, well, I'm 15 minutes walk away. Do you want to come round and have a drink? It's like, and in the entirety of California, just to end up 15 minutes walk away. So that was extraordinary. That was absolutely extraordinary. But what it taught me was the power of tobacco. Amongst other things, it taught me how, when native people say tobacco carries prayer, yes. Yeah, totally got that. So yeah,
Great. Yeah.
Thanks for letting me tell that story.
Yeah, I've walked in the redwoods in Santa Cruz as well. Maybe not the same ones, but yeah. Yeah, nice to hear about that connection. And yeah, the serendipity. And I also hear you know, you've been quite kind of led by mystery, soul, whatever, you know, on Vision Quest, and
Mm.
you've kind of opened yourself to these possibilities, into this path of stepping in service. And yeah, I'm not surprised that things are happening to support that along the way.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
some time ago, I was in a ceremony some time ago, and it came to me that actually I could be praying for all sorts of things, but really, Great Spirit, I'm sure you've got a far better idea of what I could be doing with my life than I'm ever going to come up with. So actually, I'm just going to surrender to whatever you show me as the most useful thing I can do, and I will do my utmost to remain open to paying attention to the signs that you give me. And yeah, it's been a really interesting life since then. All sorts of very, very interesting things have shown up. So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good. I
Yeah.
recommend it. I really recommend that one.
Mm. Yeah. Thanks. It's nice to hear. Yeah. And one of those things that you've been, yeah, called to is supporting the Connection Camp. And I know because you're in
Hmm.
the core team, the egg, as we call it, the egg that's going to hatch out to be the Connection Camp, with me and Vicky, but also the Village Builder Guild lead. So
Hmm.
I'd love to hear from you. I mean, for some people, it might be a bit of a strange word, village building, or strange phrase. What is it? What is village building? What do you mean by that, David?
What do I mean by it? Yeah, it. I know it's a really good question because there's so many different potential ways of interpreting that. So, what do I mean by that? Um, I think I would go back to the kind of archetypal human tribe that for hundreds of thousands of years we have evolved in.
Mm,
Like so so it's not about the infrastructure of the village. It's not about roads and houses and shops and churches and that stuff. It's
yeah.
about the culture, the mindset, the and if you take yourself in your imagination into a situation where you're living in a tribe of people, and pretty much your entire life there's been these same people around, um, and there's going to be relationships that are intergenerational. There's going to be people who have got your back that are just going to keep at a distance, but they're looking out for you. It's like there's going to be people kind of going, that young person over there, I'm going to encourage them in this direction. I can see that in them and help lift those skills up. There's going to be and draw out. Yeah, the word education um, has has been used by Western society to dump loads of information, and actually it comes from Greek and it means to draw out.
Yeah.
And so village building, I think, is about designing a culture. I mean, it's very much about cultural engineering, cultural design,
Yeah.
and it's about drawing out the best possible versions of ourselves.
Mm,
Not dumping down, you are going to be an engineer, so you have to learn this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And by the time you've done it, your passion is completely killed. And you're going, God, oh no, I'm in debt. I have to go down that. I have to do it because that's the only way I can pay the debt back. No, 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 no. It's like, who are you born to
mm,
be? And and that's being held by the culture,
yeah.
um, and supported. That
So a village made up of people bringing their gifts and their purposes and their
mm,
skills and passions together in service of each other, and they have that intergenerational connections and support.
yeah,
Yeah.
and this is a little. I'm not entirely sure how this works, but it's like a flat structure. It's not hierarchical. It's like, so the society that most of us have been enculturated into is very hierarchical. And there is someone who's going to tell you what your relationship with God is. For example, there's someone who's going to tell you how to behave when you're 5 years old and your whole body wants to get up and run around and look at this thing. Isn't this exciting? Look at that. Wow. All of that. And you're told, shut up and sit down. You know, it's like, it. So a culture that's designed to actually meet the physiological, emotional, mental, and spiritual needs of the human beings within it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the world I want to live in. So yeah, I accepted your invitation to hold the village building guild because on a very selfish level, I want to live in that world.
Yeah.
But if I take the selfish that bit out of it, although there is definitely some motivation there, and I'm not going to try and hide that. I just want to be transparent here. But it's also about what's the world I want for my children and theirs and their grandchildren and their grandchildren. You know, it's like talking about a 7-generation project. Actually, it's distinctly feasible that we could completely turn the human presence. Thomas Berry talks about the great work of our times being creating a benign human presence on the planet. That's village building to my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, the village that supports us all to be that benign human
A
presence.
benign human presence. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of, the village that I talk of as, kind of the dream of everyone bringing out these 8 different attributes in themselves and in the village, and these archetypes of community
Mm.
showing up, and yeah, and the whole connection campus designed to give people an experience of that. And I'm curious, that's the big vision of the village building. How are you going to journey with that during the week that we have together at Clophill?
Well, that's a mystery. That's an absolute mystery. It's I mean, it will
What are
be
people going to experience? Perhaps maybe that's a better question.
well. It's going to be emergent. It's going to depend on who shows up and what they have and what their skills are and what their gifts are and how we pull those out in service to them and each other and the village.
Hmm.
So it's it's I think I want to turn it around slightly,
Hmm.
um, and speak of the village, the 4-day village that we just held
Yeah.
for the Fire Quest, and what comes out, what people said about that, because that is the reality of the experience of being within the field, and they were in the field of they weren't being given the tools to understand how that field's created. So
Yeah.
it will be experiential, and people will be getting the feeling of, oh my God, I so feel I belong here. I so feel that I'm able to contribute. I so feel valued.
Yeah.
That who I am is seen, and there's opportunities to actually contribute. Just from being who I am, not having to put on a mask, not having to put on some role, just being me. And so I think that's the experience which my intention is that that's the experience. And when we my experience of being involved in these sorts of experiences and in um the the yeah and engineering the flow of it and the design of it so that happens. That's what happens. And what we're going to be going into is not just that experience, but also the design tools and the engineering behind it.
Yeah. How the
Um,
village is woven together.
yes.
That
So
way.
good phrasing. I'd really like to turn it around a little bit and ask you what you mean by village building.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's very much a weaving together of and building relationships.
Mm.
I'm leading a dusk chorus, because only one person wanted to come to the dawn chorus walk that I led yesterday. I'm leading a much more popular dusk chorus walk tomorrow night. And for me, that's a bit of village building. It's about making connections to people from the local village, and we're going to go and listen to the birds together. And I'm going to, yeah, share some of who the birds are and help them remember and connect and know the birds better and have a connective experience together. And then all the people on that bird walk, I'll know more deeply and better when I next see them in the street, and we can connect more and share more after that. So it's kind of weaving these connective experiences and trust, and also like the pathways for connecting with each other, like a connection camp or like a community kitchen or a pub or a dawn chorus walk, all these different ways of meeting with people and connecting and sharing our stories and getting to know each other and trusting and creating safety and belonging, like you say. I mean, that's all village building.
Mm.
And when
Yeah.
it's where you live, it can also be connected into the place that you're in and that you're sharing together, and that's really powerful and
Yes.
deep as well.
Yeah. And it's important to be able to bring it back to where you live, because otherwise it becomes this one-off
Yeah,
experience that's over there somewhere in the history and the. But actually, don't we? I don't know. I mean, it feels to me that I want to live in a society where I don't just share postcodes with my neighbours, and I may not even know their names, but actually we share food,
yeah,
and maybe we share a car or electric bikes, or it's like that we actually have relationship, and we have this technology these days, and it's kind of becoming more and more disconnected, despite the words that we say we're more connected. It's like we can pick up the phone and we can speak to anyone in the world that we might have a phone number for, and we can do the FaceTime thing or whatever it is. But it's not. There's something different when you're hanging out in the same space, and all your senses are engaged, and you're fully in each other's presence. And I can't speak for anyone else, but I know that I want to live in a world. The world I want to live in is one where we are in each other's presence,
yeah,
where we are present to each other's presence. And I'm just realizing there's another word there. So being present to the presence in the present that we call now. Just
hmm,
the gifts of being present to each other's physicality and presence. And that, to my mind, is actually what we were born to be. That's the potential of who we're born to be, not just some label that fits some economic system.
yeah. And it also is occurring to me, we need to move towards closing pretty soon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's also occurring to me that when our needs kind of get intertwined with each other and we like meet each other's needs, that's something that has been lost a lot in modern
Yeah.
society and culture. But when we're like sharing food, like you say, or doing things together, or we share water where I live, there's like a spring that we
Mm.
all share the water supply for, so we're connected together through that. And those physical ways of sharing, of building trust and connection and belonging and negotiation and having to get on with each other and stuff,
Yeah.
that's all, that's all village building. That's all making those connections that get stronger and stronger, hopefully with good peacemaking tools along the
Yes.
way and good communication. That's all
Yeah.
very much part of village building as well.
And the I mean, so there was a little bit of a check-in, and so here, that gratitude at the beginning, that bringing our hearts and minds together through the gratitude, the checking in, so how are you doing, and like the road dust piece, it is not just building connection, it's also kind of, well, it's thickening the ropes of connection.
Yeah,
It gives us more information about each other, so we know how to support each other, so we know what's going on. It's like, yeah.
yeah,
And when we don't do that, we end up being isolated. And lo and behold, one of the biggest problems in modern society is isolation.
yeah.
So, yeah, I could probably waffle on for a very long time,
Yeah,
but
well, I look forward to many more,
yeah, me too, me
the
too.
rest of my life, talk about village building with you. It's great that we live so close together as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, maybe just to close on this rich discussion that I've really enjoyed, is to just what's one thing you're looking forward to about the camp this summer?
Uh, Only one thing.
Yeah,
Being in the field of 100 people who are in connection and building threads and ropes, weaving a basket of connection together.
mm. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. I can really feel that in my body from previous auto mentoring and connection
mm,
camps.
mm.
That village
Yeah, exactly.
connection. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you, David.
How about you? What's one thing you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to not being the organizer anymore and just like floating around and it happening. And there's like a group of people who are
Mm.
like basket weaving, and there's children here that are playing, and there's like people in the woods, and I'm just like, it's like all
Yeah,
happening. And I'm not
yeah,
involved in delivering any of it right now.
yeah. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Yeah,
That's me.
thank you for that vision as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I look forward to that too. Mm.
Okay. Well, thank you for being on this call and sharing some of your stories and passion and commitment with us.
You're very welcome. Yeah, it's a joy. Thank you,
All right.
Peter. Thanks for listening, and thanks for all you do.